This is breaking news.
That breaking news, a Trump-appointed judge just ruled against the president, pausing his deployment of the National Guard into Portland until at least Friday. This ruling comes after a 3-day trial on whether the deployment was lawful. Here's 3 things you need to know. 1, the judge said she needs more time to review arguments and documents from the trial in order to make a final decision. 2, she set a new deadline of Friday, November 7th at 5 p.m. 3, the judge's 16-page opinion highlighted several instances where she sided with the state of Oregon. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for K2 News at 11. I'm Tanvi Verma. A lot to get to tonight. The decision came down shortly before 7:20 this evening. The K2 team is on your side with all the brand new details on the judge's ruling and what that means going forward. Let's get straight to K2's Jennifer Singh, who's live outside the ICE facility in South Portland. Jen, how are people responding?
Well, the majority of people here say they're glad to hear that the National Guard cannot be deployed for the time being. But many people say they want that decision to be a permanent one. Now, as we've been following, the protests have been ongoing outside of the ICE facility for months. The main reason for the president wanting to deploy federal troops to the city. The Trump administration argues what has been going on outside the ICE facility constitutes as a rebellion, citing vandalism to the building and alleged threats to officers. But tonight, the judge disagreed with that argument. Some protesters say they're surprised with how long this legal battle is playing out. Others say the opposite. Some don't mind as long as the National Guard stays out.
I was pretty pessimistic about what was going to happen. And the fact that there is this much of a pushback at all is surprising to me. And I hope that pushback ends up turning into a wall. It's been going on for a while, which, to me says maybe this case is a bit harder than Trump would want it to be.
He's not going down without a fight. He likes to get his way. I think it's just going to keep going, and I don't think that we're going to stop trying to stand up for what we know is right.
And as of right now, as you said, Thumby, it does appear that Judge Immergut is mostly siding with Oregon. And if that becomes permanent, many people tonight say they would not be surprised if the Trump administration appeals and the legal battle continues. And I also asked protesters out here tonight that if the judge does side with Oregon and the National Guard cannot be deployed whatsoever, if they will still continue to come out here outside of the ICE facility. And many people out here say as long as the federal immigration crackdown efforts continue, they will be out here. For now, live in South Portland, Jennifer Singh, K2 News.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. We reached out to the White House and DHS tonight. We're working to get you their response to this preliminary injunction. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield praising today's ruling. He put out a statement on X reading in part, "Today's ruling is a step toward truth and accountability. We're grateful the court is taking the time to get it right." Governor Tina Kotek also weighing in, sending us a statement reading in part, "This ruling is another affirmation of our democracy and the right to govern ourselves. Oregon stands united against this unwanted, unneeded, unconstitutional military intervention." And like we said, we did reach out to the White House to get a response from them, and we did not hear back. Now, let's unpack Judge Karin Immergut's decision. Judge Immergut does not think President Trump can prove that what's happening outside the ICE facility is a rebellion. She also doesn't think he can show that protesters are significantly impeding federal officers from doing their jobs. In spite of President Trump referring to the ICE facility as a war zone, Judge Immergut found that unlawful behavior was just sporadic, though the president has argued that he needs to deploy the Guard because he can't enforce federal law otherwise. The judge said federal officers are able to do their jobs just fine. And the next natural question you might ask is, how did we get here? Or in other words, how did Portland become the center of this national conflict? Let's start from the very beginning. On Friday, September 26th, Portland Mayor Keith Wilson held an emergency press conference in which he announced that more federal agents were seen on the streets of Portland. And then a day later, President Trump confirmed the reports, writing on Truth Social that he was directing Defense Secretary Secretary Pete Hegseth to, quote, provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. The president said he was authorizing full force if necessary. U.S. Attorney General Bondi doubled down, listing several violent incidents across the country and saying the nation has entered a new era of political violence.
These are not peaceful protests. These are coordinated attacks by radical extremists, and they end now.
Then the legal battle began. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield filed suit, and that's about what's happening outside the ICE facility. He says it's nothing near a war zone.
It's actually un-American, if you think about it, to use the military against our own citizens. But that's exactly what's happening right now.
And after a little over a month of legal back and forth, we finally have an indication of where things are heading. As Judge Immergut said herself, the state of Oregon will likely win this one because she just doesn't agree with the president's account of what's happening in Portland. And this is a breaking news story. Katu is on your side monitoring the legal battle and each new deadline. We'll be getting a final decision by Friday, November 7th, 5 p.m. And when we're not on the air, you can find us online at Katu.com.